Gerry Harvey is one of Australia's leading business people and ranked by Forbes magazine as one of the world's wealthiest men. His retail empire, Harvey Norman, has hundreds of stores all across the world. He's built at least 2 empires in his lifetime and has invested in over 20 other listed companies. He's a prolific businessman and he's known for his simplistic, no-nonsense approach to business and his strong work ethic. Let's see what Gerry Harvey has to say on the business of creativity. Gerry Harvey, welcome to the business of creativity.
Thank you.
You started off life as a door-to-door vacuum salesman. You disliked university, you had aspirations to be a farmer, but yet you've managed to build not 1 but 2 global empires. What spark of genius is it within you that enables you to build these big businesses?
I have no idea. You look back on your life and you think that door opened and you took advantage. And if that door hadn't opened, well, where would I be today? I have no idea. But that's most successful people that start with nothing. So, you know, from my point of view, in 1961, I was pretty much broke, and I'm working in a real estate company selling real estate, and then the guy that was doing it opened a sort of an auction selling second-hand household goods and that sort of thing. So I watched that and I thought, I can do that. So I went and saw a mate of mine and we started up a business called Harvey Norman in 1961. And it was an auction house, buying and selling household goods. And then after a while I thought, oh, I put some new stuff in it. I put some fridges and washers and lounges, and then I had an area where we're selling new. And after a year or 2, I thought I can really grow this, and so I opened another shop and then another shop, and suddenly I'm in business, and by the time I was 30, I was probably a millionaire by that stage, and I had a very successful business.
So it was really just driven step by step, but by instinct.
Yeah, I didn't plan it.
Yes.
I mean, I didn't go out and say, this is the plan, 5 years, 5 years, 5 years. I mean, you look at something and you think, oh, this is good. I'm making a lot of money in this shop. Can I open another one? Yes. Can I open another one? Yes. And so it goes on, and you just take advantage of the opportunity. And so, as it turned out, you know, that company, when we went public in 1972, from then till 1982, we multiplied everyone's money by 15 times, including our own. So it was a very, very successful public company.
It's interesting the way that you ran that business with that instinct, whereas today there's such a huge preoccupation on 5-year plans and 1-year plans and PowerPoint presentations, yep. Whereas you sort of reverse engineered it by default and just actually let it float and let the momentum take you where it wanted to take you. When you started the current incarnation of Harvey Norman around 1981, what was your vision, if you had one, for the business at that stage?
Well, I just sold out of the other public company and I thought, what am I going to do now? Well, I had no plans, and then I thought, oh, I'll go and open another shop. So I thought I'll open just one shop. And I went to Auburn, opened up one shop, and it went off like a rocket. And I thought, oh, better open another one. So I opened another one, and another one. And so this was like, now I'm 42, and I'm thinking, I spent the first 21 years on this other business, and now I've learned a lot. I don't really want to go and open another 100 shops or whatever, but I did, and I just took advantage of it, because it was like, now I'm much smarter than I was when I was a 21, 22, 23-year-old. And Harvey Norman now has been, you know, successful beyond my wildest dreams. I never designed it like this.
Yes.
And when you look at where we are now and what we've done, and I look back on it and I think, wow, that's pretty extraordinary. How the hell did that happen? So it's, you know, it's just unbelievable.
And it's a truly global business now. I was recently driving from Slovakia to Croatia, and I drove through Slovenia, and it was a very welcome sight to see the Harvey Norman brand name on the side of the highway.
Yeah, well, we're in Slovenia and now we're in Croatia as well. So and we have plans to open in other European countries, and we're in Ireland, and so we've got a global outlook because we think we can grow a lot more than what we've done in Australia and New Zealand.
And what's the process now, if there is a process or is it gut feel, what's the process to innovate and create? How does Gerry Harvey innovate and create about the growth of the business?
Well, I've always looked at it and I want to be at the forefront of what I do. And the minute I see somebody overtake me and they're at the forefront and I'm not, or I can't catch them or go past them, I'm going to hand my badge in. That's the day I say I'm out. Mm-hmm. So at the moment we're doing things that other people are copying more than they're doing it and we're copying it. So I'm still fairly confident that we're at the forefront of what we're doing in retailing. And as long as that's the case, because over the years I've always looked at all our opposition and all the other retailers, not just in Australia, the rest of the world, and why did they all go out of business? They've nearly all gone out of business. Yeah, I can name you 100 straight away. They're all gone. And why did they all go? And my view is that they went because they just got lazy and they didn't come to work and they thought the business would stay there or grow without them and they all went. The ones that didn't go morphed into something else or were taken over and the brand stayed there. But it's interesting, in the last 100 years that practically every retailer in the world's gone broke or gone out of business. The survivors are like, you can count them on one or two hands.
So how do you have a process, or where do you get these sparks of we have to do this or we should do that? Because these things that have kept you on top. Is it when you're gardening? Is it when you're in the car? Is it when you're in the shower?
It's all of those things. It's constant all the time. You're thinking about how can I do it better, and how do I get another step ahead of my opposition. And if that guy in that country or this country is doing something that's really good, why is he doing it and why am I not doing it? So, and I'm married to a woman called Katie Page,
yes,
who's
the chief executive of Harvey Norman.
Yeah, has been for 20 years, and so she's an extraordinarily good businesswoman, and we're a husband and wife team. You'd have to say there are not many husband and wife teams in the world that are better than us.
Yes.
So we're right up there. Now that doesn't mean there's not someone better than us. There probably is, but if you took the top 10, 20, 30 business couples in the world, we'd have to be there.
Yes, for sure.
And so, we'll jump up out of bed and jump into the shower and you're talking about business straight away maybe, or having a piece of toast after that and, why don't we do this? And so we work 7 days a week. The brain's running.
The brain's working, thinking, talking.
Yeah, so it's... and it's not as if it's people say, I don't know how you live like that. I couldn't work with my wife. But we have moments where we have come to Jesus moments, if you like, or we get quite agitated, animated. But we have the ability to be able to turn off when that conversation's over. We're not stewing on it for the rest of the day or into the next day.
Yes.
So if that was like that, you could never work together.
Yes.
So you have to have an understanding of being able to become passionate about something, putting your view across, being defeated sometimes, winning sometimes, but at the end of the day, the business wins. There's only one prize at the end of the day. It's not me, it's not Kate, it's the business.
The business. It's that third person, like a baby, isn't it?
Yeah, and when you look at it, and I've had reason to think about it a little bit lately because I look at Rupert Murdoch and I was talking to someone about him the other day, and at the end of the day, he works for the business.
Yes. And
he's got that at the top of his list. I think he knows that. I've never mentioned it to him, but I think he knows that. And most of the people that I know that are really successful and they're into their 70s and even older, Harry Triguboff,
Yes.
right? He's
Meriton Apartments.
can't help himself. He like wouldn't matter. He doesn't need the money.
No.
He's worth billions, but he has to go and build another block of units.
Yes.
Has to, because it's a business. Now, someone from outside looks at that and they say, why does he have to do that? Well, the answer may be, I don't know what the exact answer is, it may be that you've been doing this all your life. That is your life, that business, the purpose of living to a large degree. And you're out there proving to yourself and to the others, this is what I do really well.
Yes.
It's your self-esteem, it's your life, it's your vision, it's your passion, it's all of these things. And then when you realise this is who you are, you then have another look at yourself and you say, well, is there an alternative to this? And if the answer is yes, we'll run for it, right? But if the answer is, well, I've been doing this all my life, and if I stopped doing it, would I be happy? No, I love doing this. And so this is who you are. And it's like there's a lot of other people like this in the world. I'm not the only one.
And that's probably why a lot of people in your position, a lot of entrepreneurs, they sell out of a business, they're financially secure, they don't have to do anything, but they turn around and just start another business.
Yep. Well, some do and some don't.
Right.
And I think the ones that sell out are the ones that were never truly passionate about their business, or the passion went.
Yes.
And so I've noticed when I look at most people in life, they get to a certain age, it can be from 40, 50, 60, and they just lose it. They lose interest. And you get the rarer individuals that they don't lose interest. They become even more involved. And so they do it till the day they die.
Yes.
And so, but they're rare. So I've often thought, why don't I lose interest? Why doesn't Harry Triguboff or Rupert Murdoch or any number of other people, why don't they lose interest? Like most people do.
Yes.
And so you've got these...
Correct. Most people at that age are thinking of, or at that stage rather, are thinking of just relaxing and taking it easy.
I go on a cruise and lie on a sun lounge and look into the sun. I'd read a book. I don't want to do that. That's boring as batshit. So to me, that's not an alternative at all. I mean, I want to get out there and do something that gives me a charge.
Yes.
And so that's very important.
Yes.
This need to be, I don't know, relevant, do something, make more money, build something, grow something, breed something, constantly doing something.
You're creating something.
Exactly.
It sounds like, even though obviously money is very important in business and it's the measure or a measure of success, including a listed company like yours, but it sounds like it's never been the number one of your list. It sounds like it's almost been a byproduct of this creation and this drive and this desire to grow something.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, from my point of view, I didn't have money when I was 30 to never work again. So, and I haven't got a boat or an aeroplane or a mansion, and I don't spend big money on luxurious things. I'm quite happy staying in that motel for the night at $120. I don't care. I mean,
really?
To me, it doesn't mean a damn thing, and I very rarely ever travel first class on it or business class on an aeroplane. I nearly always travel second class.
Wow.
So I don't care about those sort of things. I've got very little or to no interest in dressing up to look good, having a bigger, better car than anyone else, or house, or anything like that. In a way, it's sort of a badge of honour. I often think, what about if I went broke and I was sitting on the street begging, and people walk past and they say, oh, gee, that's Gerry Harvey. He was a big shot once. And I'd be sitting there, yeah, shit happens, mate. And it'd be a badge of honour in a way. I don't care. I really don't care. I don't care And that's quite strange, because I think to myself, but you must have had this ego to get you there in the first place, and yet you haven't got this thing about if you went broke, that's the end of your life. It wouldn't be. It's like, that's the way it happened.
It sounds very evolved to me, like you've achieved a degree of fulfilment, or you're not attached to these.
Yeah, I'm not
attached to these things.
I'm not attached to the, and I've met lots of people in life that wouldn't be able to readjust from going, I'm rich and powerful, and now I'm a shit kicker.
Yes.
Right?
Will
They
break
couldn't
most
adjust to
people
that.
mentally.
I wouldn't have any trouble adjusting to that. If they said to me, you've virtually got no money, you're on the pension, you live in a little shack up there on the beach somewhere, I said, oh, that's okay. I'll work out from there, or I might more likely start another business and go again.
Yes.
But it wouldn't worry me to be put down to the bottom of the pile.
It's probably also a great lesson for business to always live below your means, not at your means, not above your means, but below them.
Yeah, well, so many people have gone broke over the years because they grew too fast, or grew, they grew that quickly, or they expanded and put all that money, too much money, into that venture.
Yes.
It went broke, and it took them with them. So, over the years I've gone a little bit out there, but now I'm more cautious. I mean, I breed racehorses. That's
Yes.
a pretty stupid thing to do, but I lose millions. But I can afford to lose millions, and so I don't put all my wealth, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5% maybe, into racehorses, but the rest is in the solid business.
And you do have other investments. You're a prolific property investor. You invest in a lot of small cap stocks. You own the retail rights at Fox Studios. You've got interest in the lithium business. You've got the racehorse business. So what's your investment approach? Obviously, you're doing things that you're passionate about, but you don't want to lose your shirt if at all possible.
Well, 20 years ago, I bought Magic Millions, a company that was in receivership and very small. And now we've developed it over 20 years into the leading horse selling organisation in Australia. Even 10 years ago, if you'd said that's where we'd be, people would say, oh, no, not going to happen. But now we are. And so it's pretty much a duopoly. There's William Inglis and there's Magic Millions. We're number one, they're number two. They've been number one for the last 100 years, and now we've knocked them off the perch. And we're moving further ahead of them. To me, I enjoyed running this business, Magic Millions. It's buying and selling. And so I go to the horse sales and I'm selling my horses. I actually enjoy...
You're horse trading.
Yeah, horse trading. So I think to myself, I'm a horse trader. Oh, one of the hardest businesses in the world, goes back thousands of years. Horse trader. Successful horse trader. Yeah. That's pretty basic. Yeah, I want to be there. So I love going out and buying a horse. It's in foal. I just did one the other day, or a year ago, sold it. In 1 year we bought myself and another guy, we bought a mare in foal for $175,000. We sold the foal for $150 and the mare for $340 1 year later. So we've turned 175 into 500, right?
Yes.
So little things like that. I get a lot more pleasure out of that probably than last week I sold 1,000 fridges.
Right.
Because it was a little trade.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. You created value. It was enjoyable.
And you made $300,000
yes.
in 1 year on an outlay of 170. So you think to yourself, oh, that's good. Because you still know that you've got the ability to be able to do a little trade and make some money. And then you do it again and again, and not so much. Then you lose a bit of money over there, but it's that trading all the time. And the good thing about the horse business is you can lose a lot of money on horses too. So that keeps you very humble.
Yes.
Because you're getting belted all the time. Every day there's one dying, or
right.
or it's a racehorse and I've just spent $200,000 training it and buying it and now worth nothing. So you're getting this hiding every day of your life. And that sort of grounds you all the time, because I think it's important that if you've done well in life, you're getting a hiding at the same time. You're making
humility.
Well, it makes you realise that you were very lucky, one, that you got to where you got to, and two, you're very, very ordinary and you make lots of mistakes and you need a belting, right? And it's that it's that sense of who you are, and you don't pretend to be someone you're not. You're very happy in your own skin.
So rather than thinking of yourself as an extraordinary person, you're thinking of yourself as an ordinary person living an extraordinary life or an extraordinary circumstances.
I'm a very, very ordinary person. I got very, very lucky, and I can't sell. I've obviously got some ability, and I can buy and sell and grow businesses and that sort of thing. But at the end of the day, lots of other people probably could have done the same thing, done a better job if they were given the opportunity that I was given. And then other people say, oh, that's rubbish, mate, because you took advantage of that, and they could have had that, and they didn't. There's a degree of truth in that too. But I'm pretty happy being a shit kicker.
One of your core skill sets is, or I think in your own words, is salesmanship. Over the course, you're known to every Australian. Your face, your voice. You've voiced your own advertisements. You've starred in your own TV ads. You are a salesman. How important to entrepreneurs and business is that ability to actually sell something, to sell your product that you're creating?
I think that being able to be a good salesman and being able to communicate are absolute necessities if you want to be successful in life. And so you go to university and you do your course in economics or whatever it is you do. But at the end of the day, you're not a salesman. And so then you're never really good. Let's say you do medicine.
Yes.
Right? And you come out and you're this wonderful doctor, but you're not a salesman and you can't communicate. It's going to be hard for people to believe you're a wonderful doctor, even if you are. People say, oh, he's a wonderful doctor. How do you know? Oh, they don't know. And the guy that's got no personality is the best bloke, but you have to have an ability to sell, and you have to have an ability to communicate with people. And if you've got that and people like you, you have to have a likability factor. So I say to people, Joe Blow, likability factor 3 out of 10, right? He hasn't got much chance, has he? Likability factor 9 out of 10, that bloke's, he's got a good chance. Even if he's not the best salesman, he's got a likability factor. People like to deal with him or her.
Yes.
Because
pretty simple but important.
Yeah, you have to have a likability factor. People have to know you and like you, and they'll want to do and do things for you, help you, all that sort of thing. But if they don't like you, it's pretty hard.
You're nowhere.
Yeah.
Just back to Magic Millions, I read at one point when you bought Magic Millions, which in itself is interesting because you've created an empire out of another empire out of a hobby.
Yeah.
But when you bought Magic Millions, you called up your partners in that business, Rob Ferguson and John Singleton, 2 other prominent Australian business people, and said, put your hands in your pocket, I think we can turn this around.
Yeah.
Is that the way people at the top level do business? You call each other up, put your hands in your pocket, I think this is a good opportunity, it feels right.
No, not a lot. In that case, it was quite strange because I'd bought it, and then I thought, why don't I ring Singer up? So I rang Singer. I said, mate, I've just bought Magic Millions, you want a quarter share? How much? I told him, and he said, I'm not going to buy anything. The last time you got me into horses, I lost all my money and get lost, and banged the phone down. 3 minutes later, the phone rings. Yeah, I'll take the quarter, right? Then I rang Rob Ferguson, he was in Europe somewhere. I rang him and I told him, I've just bought a quarter, Magic Millions, do you want a quarter? John Singleton's taking a quarter, I'm taking half. The phone, I thought he's gone, no? 5 minutes, not 5 minutes, a minute. Quiet, the whole thing. He said, oh, okay, I'll take it. I thought, so a minute's silence before he says yes. So they were quite strange phone calls when I look back 20 years. And now I've bought them both out 5, 6, 7 years ago, whatever it was. So, but they helped me along the way, and they were part of Magic Millions growing, and we had a wonderful relationship while it lasted, and we're still all good friends. And so, but Magic Millions now, I've got Kate, my wife, who's got really interested the last few years. And so she she said to me, you know, like, when you die, I want magic millions. I said, oh, right, okay. So part of the deal is when in the will, I've got to leave magic millions to her, which is okay. But for her, it's more important than owning Harvey Norman. Strange.
She's passionate about it, obviously.
For some reason, over the last few years, she thought, of all the assets that we've got, I want magic millions. She loves that asset. And she loves building houses and all that sort of thing. And she loves that real estate, but she loves magic millions more. So it's interesting that if you can get hold of some asset in your life, that it's not just an asset.
Yes.
It's it's something that you own, that you love, and you're passionate about. Now I know that could be a house, and I know it could be a block of flats, I guess, but this is alive. Yes. Right, and it's functioning. You're buying and selling, and it's a business, and it just grabs you, and so it's good that she's got that asset, and I'm very happy that it'll go to her because it's going to go to someone that loves it.
When you talk about all of your assets, they all feel alive. They just have this sense. They're none of what you've spoken about at all feels in any way sterile or transactional. They're living and breathing things, which clearly you and your wife are just super passionate about.
Sure. Well, I've just put 20 million into a cucumber farm, and I'm looking at that and thinking, wow, this is good because I'm producing cucumbers hydroponically. I've got 5 hectares under roof. I've got a situation with that's as good as anything in the world. I've imported the whole lot from Holland. I've got the grower from Holland, and so I'm doing something in technologically speaking up there as good as anyone in the world. So that's one of my latest little ventures, the cucumber farm.
And is that run by someone that you've invested in somebody's business?
No. I built it.
You build it.
And then I've got a guy I know, and I said, you can run it. So he's running it. And it looks like it's going to be a pretty successful little business. Now I'm growing those little cukes, they're called, they're only this long. And they're very popular. In school lunches, if you put a bit of carrot and a bit of cuke and something else in there, at the end of the day when the kids' lunch comes back, the cuke's always gone. That's a good sign, right? So the kids love the cukes. And so now I've probably got about 30% of the Australian market for cukes. Right? So that's sort of interesting.
What's fascinating about this, so you've got all these other empires which we've just been speaking about, and then almost as an afterthought, you mentioned that you've put 20 million into a business, which on its own, by most people's standards, would be a pretty large business.
Yep.
What process, by what you've called this guy, you put him in to run the business, you've got the cucumbers from Holland, you've observed that kids are eating them, and so this is your market research. Was this just a series of phone calls, that it was an idea, a series of phone calls?
Oh, there's a little bit of history on it because I got some money in the first place and to grow his cucumber farm that all went broke and fell to bits, and so run. I said, no. Here's an alternative. Build it into something really great. Do the best in the world and see if you can make it work. And it's working. So from my point of view, it was an opportunity to either do that or run. Most people would have run. Right? But I thought, no.
You like a challenge.
This could be something that works. Like 15 years ago, I started breeding Wagyu cattle. And so at one stage I had 25,000 Wagyu head cattle. I've only got 7,000 now. But that Wagyu cattle is a big thing right across the world. And so to me it's been an interesting journey, although I can't make much money out of it. Breeding Wagyu cattle, breeding them over Angus, and then I've got my farms where I breed my Angus cattle and put them in the feedlots, the Wagyu in the feedlots, and comparing carcasses and marble scores and all that sort of thing. So I've got my horse interest, but then I've got my cattle interest and that sort of thing. So to me, it's animals, it's farming, it's agriculture. So in the beginning where I wanted to be a farmer, I am a farmer.
You've gone back to that.
Yeah,
I'm
a horse breeder, I'm a cattle breeder, I'm got sheep, I've got lucerne farms, things like that. So I am actually out there doing all the things that I wanted to do when I was a kid that I would never have been able to do with no money.
Yes.
So now I have the opportunity to do all of these things, but I'm interested. You know,
You're passionate about
I
it.
like the idea of a lucerne farm and growing the lucerne. I like the idea of breeding cattle, breeding horses, fattening lambs. I think it's interesting.
So how do you find the time? What's your routine? You've got all of these businesses going on at any one time.
Well, but I also own 30, 40, 50 shares in public companies. And so I follow them all the time, buying and selling shares. So I like that bit of being able to have this wide, all this interest right across the spectrum and on all sorts of different things. And it's, you only live once. So if you've got the opportunity to be involved in that area, that area, that area, that area. So every day something good or bad's happening. The phone will ring when I leave this meeting and there'll be something bloody dreadful happen, you know. Or there might be something bloody wonderful happen. But all the time you've got something happening. I can't get through 2 or 3 days without something happening that would be a major thing in an ordinary person's life, but to me it doesn't matter much. I mean, oh, that horse that you didn't have insured just died yesterday, it was $500,000. You say, oh shit, oh, move on, doesn't matter.
Okay.
It does, it hurts for a second. It's like a needle that you just got or something like that. But, so you just have to move on. But you've got all these interests and so to me, I think, oh, I've got a lot more I want to do and to start a new business there. I'd love to start something or invest in something that's been as successful as Harvey Norman. I've never found anything that good. Like from when we went public in 1987 to 2000, we multiplied our money by 100 times in 13 years. That doesn't happen.
No.
If you double your money or triple your money in 13 years, it was 100 times. So we're extraordinarily successful. We outperformed every other public company in Australia in that time frame. So you look back on that and you think, wow, that was successful. I want to find something else like that. I've never found anything as good as Harvey Norman. I've had some wonderful ventures. We bought Rebel Sport 10 or 15 years ago, kept it for 5 years, multiplied our money by 5, sold it. But we made 5 times our money in 5 years on Rebel Sport. Still a good brand out there.
Yeah.
It's the best brand in sporting goods on the Australian market, but we flicked it after we multiplied our money by 5. Very satisfying to do something like that.
Absolutely, I'm sure it is. With regards to the phone calls and something dreadful happening, I just want to quickly go back to that because how does an entrepreneur, whether or not it's a major thing, I mean, entrepreneurialism obviously, there's a lot of psychology involved in actually getting through the difficult periods. You still have them. And how should somebody get through difficult periods, which is probably the majority of the time when you're trying to grow a business? How should you approach that? What should be your mindset? What should be your psychological thing to steel yourself?
Okay, so never raise your voice. Whatever hits you that's really bad, treat it as if it's not that important. You stay calm. Now, a lot of the top entrepreneurs you'll see over the years are very excitable, right? Because of the passion and the, you know. But then when you're making decisions where you're raising your voice or getting excited, they're normally bad decisions. So if there's some big decision, you want to make a decision on it straight away and you think, no, I better not. I'll just think about that overnight and I'll talk to you tomorrow. And you have to stay calm and...
so it's solution oriented. Stay calm and find a solution and don't get sucked into the problem.
Yeah, but don't get sucked into it because then you become irrational and you'll look back on it later and think, why didn't I just give that a little more thought? Why didn't I go and talk to a couple of other people and say, I've got this problem at the moment, and work your way through it in a methodical way rather than react And so I think to be an entrepreneur, you've got to have that ability to be able to create or build, grow, whatever it is, but to be able to be very rational all the time too. Because the other entrepreneur, and there's plenty of these, they do it all, they get excited and they all get broke. Right? So you can name thousands of them out there that were worth hundreds of millions even, nothing. And so, you know, they didn't work at it the way they should have. And they could look back and you talk to them. It's interesting to talk to people that have been worth 100 million and now worth nothing. And I know a couple over the years went back to being worth 100 million and then worth nothing again. In some respects, I've got a fair bit of time for a guy that can make 100, lose it, make another 100 and lose it. And then you think to yourself, he had the ability to make the 100, he lost it. Then he made another 100, then he lost it. What did he learn from losing the first? Nothing. So why would he do that? Why didn't he learn that lesson? He needed somebody to hold his hand. So you've got a lot of entrepreneurs that do that. They have this ability to make it, but they also have the ability to lose it. Totally. Quite surprising when you see people that do that. Like Nathan Tinkler, who's a bloke I know a lot. I've known for a long time now, 8 or 10 years or something. He was worth 400 or 500 million at one stage and now nothing. And he's sitting there at the moment trying to be worth 400 or 500 million again. Now whether he makes it or not, probably not, because very few people make it the second time. But maybe. But he lost 400 million in what, 4 or 5 years? Extraordinary. How did he lose 400 or 500 million in 4 or 5 years?
Does that show that perhaps some of these people are visionaries, but they lack the ability to execute? Whereas you're famous for your strong work ethic, you're visionary, you clearly got the ability to spot ideas quickly, but then you have the ability to implement them and the work ethic and the staying power to execute on what you've envisioned.
Yeah, but I've always worked on, I'll play with 10% of my money, maybe 20%, but the other's staying solid. And because I've watched all these people over the year bet the house. They bet the house and they lose the house. Why would you do that?
Never bet the house.
If you're worth 100 million, why would you bet the house? Bet 10 or 20, bet 50, but don't bet the house. And nearly every entrepreneur I've known that's gone broke bet the house. Why did he do that? And then later when you're talking to him, you say, mate, why did you do that? Even if you're worth 10 million at the end of the day, it's a lot better than nothing. So you can live a very good life with 10 million. Right?
Yes.
You don't need nothing, because when you've got nothing, you don't lead that good a life. And then you're a bit shitty on yourself for the rest of your life because you blew it. And you're probably never going to be happy like you were in that time when you had it all. Why would you do that? But you see them doing it all the time. The argument is, well, I had to be like that to make it in the first place. Well, when you made it, you got lucky. Why did you bet the house?
So you only speculate with 10 or 20%. The rest stays protected and quarantined.
Sure. So you put yourself in a position where it's nearly impossible to go broke.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, I'll only be left with 10 million. Well, I can live okay on 10 million. I don't want to be broke. I can be broke and be reasonably happy because of my outlook on life. But most people can't be reasonably happy when they've lost all their money. It's very difficult for them to come to grips with that.
Yes. So the chances of passing you in the street, as you mentioned at the beginning of the interview, and saying there's Gerry Harvey is quite low.
Oh, I wouldn't mind. Just at the end, the last couple of weeks of life, begging on the streets and people walking past and saying, gee, you're a big shot once, look at you now. And laughing as they walk away, or feeling sorry for you, I don't know.
Just coming towards the end of the interview, I just wanted to ask you a question about the importance of what's now called mentoring. In your days as a growing businessman, a then leading retail entrepreneur, Keith Lord, was effectively what you would call now a mentor. He took you under his wing, he'd sit you in his car, he'd talk to you about how to grow your business, and he seemed to, from what I've heard you say before, take great pleasure in that. If if an entrepreneur was sitting in a car with you and you had 15 minutes to tell them what they should be doing right, what would be on your top agenda?
But I'm doing that all the time. I've got 700 franchisees in
Yes.
Harvey Norman. So I'm virtually non-stop talking to these people about how do you grow your business? Why do you do that? Have a look at the way this bloke's doing it. Why aren't you talking more to this guy because he's more successful than you? Have you ever sat down to work out why he's successful running his franchise and you're not? Or he's twice as good as you but you're still okay. So you've got to look at it then and say, how can I go to that next level? Very few people can do this. It's quite, I can put 10 people on, all good franchisees. After 5 years, there'll be 3 or 4 left. After 10 years, there'll be 1 left. And you do that many times, and then you've got your top 50. But that takes you years. It might take you 10 and 20 years to get the top 50. It's not that hard. You talk to them and you say, tell me why you were that successful. They can't tell you. They'll just give you the standard stuff that you can read in any book or anyone will tell you. So what is it that gets that guy there? It's an X factor. What is the X factor?
Yes, what is that?
What is the X factor? That's the Holy Grail. No one knows what the X factor is. So we can do this interview, we can write a book, we can mentor all these people, but mostly it's in one ear, out the other, and nothing ever happens. And every now and again one comes along and he becomes great, or she, great. And you think, why did that person become great and that person didn't? And you can't answer the question. They can't and you can't. That is
the Holy Grail, isn't it?
That is.
Yes.
And so you're searching for it. And I was talking to an old bloke the other day, a very successful old billionaire, right? And he is trying to crack the stock market. How does the stock market work? And if I can crack because it's sentiment, it makes no sense sometimes why a share goes from $3 to $6 and then back to 3. If I can work out how humans, because it's all humans playing this game.
It's human emotion, isn't it? Yeah.
Human emotion. How did that share get, and if I can work out that, then I'll make a fortune. He's 88. It's interesting, you try to crack the code.
Yes.
The share market code. Now,
it's the human code though.
but how many people have tried that in their life?
Yes.
Millions.
Yeah.
So no one's ever cracked it. But it's there to be cracked because it's human emotions that take the price from there to there. Irrational in a lot of cases. They buy shares in a company they know nothing about. Nothing. But for some reason, they've got to buy the share.
Yes.
Because it might. It's like buying a ticket in a lottery. So they buy that share and then others follow them. And they're sheep, all doing the same thing. Find out why the human did that, why they grouped and did it. You've cracked the code and you've made another fortune.
Yes. If I can ask the question another way, if you were to take a week off Harvey Norman and take a week off all of your existing business empires, we had a business idea together, and we said, let's spend a week getting this business off the ground. What would we do? Under your guidance, what would we do?
But I've got people all my life that have come to me with these wonderful ideas. They've got no money, but they have this wonderful idea, and they're going to make a fortune. I've never, ever partnered with one of them where I have made money. I've always lost all my money partnering with them. And we sat down and talked about it. So the people I like to partner with now are people who've got money.
Yes.
And they lose all their money and when I lose all mine. So it's very rare now if someone came to me with a wonderful idea, don't care how good it is, they've got no money, right? I am probably not going to invest.
Yes.
So in the first 5 minutes I say, no, I am not with you, sorry. You've come to the wrong place, go somewhere else.
Yep.
But if you come in and you've got 50 million or 5 million or 500,000 and the idea is solid and you think, oh, okay, he's a good guy. He's going to lose all his own money. I'll go with that guy. If it makes sense. because I've got a much better chance then of being successful than I have the other way, because I've proven over a lifetime that I nearly always lose all my money when I do it with the guy with the good idea and no money.
Yes, because they're fully engaged in it and they're fully on the line.
Probably they're at least moderately successful because they've made some money to lose. But when they're 45 years of age and they've got no money and a wonderful idea, the chances of that being good, like 1,000,000 to 1.
Yes.
Sounds good, but guess what? It'll be just like all the others and it'll be no good. So if I went out and invested in all those things, I'd be broke pretty quick.
Yeah, because they haven't proven they can execute.
Well, there are so many things that sound right. The logic's all there. And you think, I can't pick a hole in it, but I'm still putting my money in it. And 99 times out of 100, I'll be right.
Mm. And finally, without getting political, what can governments do to support small businesses, this government, any government? What can they do? So small businesses are the lifeblood of most Western economies, but yet they're often on their own when it comes to macro support. Or is there a role for government support? Should they just push ahead and be successful, notwithstanding?
The most important thing a government can do is give individuals the opportunity to do things, and don't over-regulate, and don't make it difficult. Create an economy that can grow, but it's got to grow with the people. It doesn't grow with anything else. You have to have talent. But if you have an economy where you can let the talent flourish, you've got a chance. And if you come in and try and regulate it down and make it too hard to get through, then you're not a good government at all. And unfortunately, most governments put in too much regulation. And there's often a very good argument, regulate that and regulate that. Yes, I know that's a good idea. But, so don't regulate it. Try not regulating it for a change. Just see what happens. And you might see some things, shoots, green shoots, big trees, and growth that you won't see. So deregulating to me is pretty important. But we don't live in a world like that. It's just bullshit. We live in a world we're going to put more regulation in every day. Every day. And in 10 years there'll be a lot more than there is now. So that's going to make it even more difficult for anyone to get through. They can't get through.
They're tied.
Huh?
Tied up.
Yeah. So you put in the regulator, but you've screwed up the whole economy because you're not letting the entrepreneurs come through. And it's the way it is, unfortunately. So could I make money easier 20, 30, 40 years ago starting a business than I could now? Mostly yes, because I didn't have as much regulation. And the good thing when I started, all those years ago, was that I opened my first shop. I didn't go to a council to see if it was, I could open a shop there or not. I just opened the shop. I didn't put an application in to open a shop. Right? So I had that ability to be able to do that without going through all those rules that are there now. So now I couldn't go and open that shop like that. It wasn't zoned right, yes. and so in the end it becomes too hard.
You're right.
And then you've got your little business growing, and you think I want to do that. And then you haven't got enough money to do it. And it's just difficult. It's very difficult.
Gerry Harvey, it's been an inspiration. Thank you for being on The Business of Creativity.
Thank you.